Travis, my good soul. It's Friday the 13th. So I was watching the late night comedy from last night. And, in order to make great comedy, you need to know the background information of the subject you're telling a joke of. If you just get up there and you just lie for jokes, people are going to see right through that and they're going to boo you. And so, knowing the truth about a subject matter allows you to make a funnier joke because people can relate to it. People can know, hey, that applies to this actual event that is taking place. So it doesn't do any good for Mormons who think they're hilarious to be trolls on YouTube. Train kept a-rolling all night long. And not have a clue about Mormonism. Because they think they're funny. They're laughing. But nobody's laughing with them except for those who also don't know Mormonism. And even critics. Sorry, guys. If you're going to tell a joke, you need to know the truth about the real church history. It's kind of essential to your eternal happiness and jokifyingness. Because if you tell a joke about how Joseph Smith is this child sex predator, oops, you don't know your real church history. It's Brigham Young's Danites who were the child sex predators. Willard Richards, the two sisters, 14 and 16 years old, he's the one who forged the sealing documents of Joseph Smith after he died, claiming they were in 1843. It's those kinds of things that you need to know. And so, if you have to explain the correction to somebody else's joke, that joke is no longer funny because you didn't base it on reality. So, the guy claiming to be Chef Bernie, and apparently this was used 61 times so that he had to make him Chef Bernie number 62. He's asking questions, but in the asking of the questions, he reveals he's a dumbass. He wasn't listening. He first tries to say, did you really try and sue the church because they did away with the high priest quorum? Where did I say that? Didn't say that in the video that you're responding to. The LDS First President official statement, Israel must let Allah of Hamas prevail and surrender. Nobody caught that. Nobody caught that. That was a joke I gave in the title of the video. And you didn't catch it? You don't know where that comes from? Nelson at the pulpit of conference is claiming he knows Hebrew. He's studied all about the gathering. And says he had to consult with 2 Hebrew scholars. And found out that he can create translations of words. Creatio ex nihilo. Let God prevail. And so if I have to explain it, and so no, I didn't sue the church because they took away the high priest quorum. Dumbass. I sued the church because I found the receipt of them paying, not just ordering, me for indefinite incarceration, violating all laws of the land for 6 years of my life. Go bleep yourself, dumbass. And then he wants to know how Nelson was compromised to Russia. See, because you're not funny, because it shows that you have no clue about conference. You're apparently not watching it. And it also shows that you have no idea how Russia does business. You voted to become a Russian rather than voting a Democrat to become president in the 2016 election. I vote to be Russian. I pick Russia. That's the thing that you fell for. That was from Russia, by the way. They sent you the advertisement saying, hey, you'd rather be Russian than vote Democrat. And you had no clue it was Russia. And you have no clue what it's like to be in Russia, to live under Putin, especially right now while he's attacking Ukraine. You have no idea that there was a mass exodus of Russians from Russia when he attacked Ukraine. You're not paying attention to the news. You have no idea that when you betray Putin, he throws you out the top window. He poisons you. Your plane mysteriously blows up. He creates a P-tape of you and other atrocities. You are not paying attention to the news. And it's strange that all of these dumbasses think that it's cool and awesome to have an authoritarian in leadership over them. God. So, Judas Priest. The Invincible Shield album has released its first song this morning, at least over in England, because I saw it and it was today when it was released, or yesterday when it was released. Painkiller? Is it Painkiller? Oh, lost the name of the song. Oh my goodness. What are we gonna do? Oh my god. Oh my god. Hold on. I'm coming. I'm coming. Panic Attack. Oh my god. Oh my god. Panic Attack. I was having a panic attack, not remembering that it was Panic Attack. The first song from the new album by Judas Priest. Okay. So, one of the things of authority from Joseph Smith, section 28 and section 43 of the Doctrine and Covenants, is the concept that Joseph Smith only has authority. Only he comes out with new revelations and commandments. Nobody else. Nobody else has his keys of the first presidency. Mormons don't seem to understand this. They think, well, he died. I guess Brigham Young is now the legal successor because Brigham Young said so. And Mormons don't stop and think, wait a minute. Isn't there a section in the 107 section that says that Joseph Smith dies, then the whole Melchizedek priesthood gathers together and votes? You know, even that missing high priest quorum, vote for 3 presidents, not 1 president and 2 counselors, 3 presidents. And that Joseph Smith would go on later in that section to say that he's the man like Moses, the Jewish Christ. And then talk about the future Christ, who also would have the only authority to change or add revelations and commandments. Section 103, verse 16. Notice, man like Moses. And so Joseph Smith designated what is canon scripture for Mormons. But there's a problem. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not adhering to Joseph Smith's canon. Not only did Brigham Young not want the Pearl of Great Price scriptures, which was put in by John Taylor, but only as a separate book. The Pearl of Great Price was not made canon until the 1981 edition of the Triple Combination, with footnoting. Before that, no, not canon. Church has nothing to do with translation. And so this is a problem that Mormons are refusing to acknowledge, that I recognized, is that they have never, ever translated the Bible correctly. Article of Faith number 8. We believe the Bible to be the Word of God as far as it is translated correctly. It's not translated correctly. The King James Version of the Bible is the worst translation of the whole entire universe. But Benson, in his first presidency statement, came out and said, well, we use the King James Version because that was the version Joseph Smith used, and so since Joseph Smith used that version, we're not going to change or alter it or make any correct translation to it. Despite Joseph Smith having the Joseph Smith translation, which was just a revision, and then would go on to learn Hebrew and Greek so that he could make a correct translation from the original languages in 1835, which carried over into 1836. And then in 1838, started rendering a translation with explanation of the facsimiles and of the papyri. And we have the chapters on the revision of the creation story as a result in our Book of Abraham. And then we have the King Follett Discourse, where he says the biblical Hebrew text is wrong, and we need to go back to the original document and render a translation there, because that's where Elohim is actually plural, not singular, because of Constantine and his creation of Jesus and Christianity. And so therefore the biblical Hebrew text was biased, influenced of Constantine. And so, yeah, nobody seems to know this background history information, that we're supposed to have a correct translation of the Bible, the whole Bible, and everything, including the Bible. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have never done it. 200 years, nope, not going to do it. They won't do it. Even the versions of the Bible in other languages, they try to stick to the King James Version. Stupid. And so, Section 91 of the Doctrine and Covenants. Joseph Smith gives a revelation, 1833, March 9th, Kirtland, Ohio, and says, verily thus saith the Lord unto you concerning the Apocrypha. What's the Apocrypha? Well, the Apocrypha was stolen by the Holy Roman Empire of Constantine. Now that they've stolen the rest of the Jewish scriptures and turned them into literal history and claimed that this Jesus guy of prophecy for the latter days, the Jewish Christ, he's now a literal history figure, and his actual name was Jesus. Even though Matthew tries to explain to you, I'm prophesying, I'm using Isaiah's prophecy about Emmanuel, but I'm going to call him Jesus instead. And everybody misses that. And so some of the other books that the Holy Roman Empire coveted was put in what's called the Septuagint in 400 CE. It's the Greek version, and it contains other books that are not in our King James Version of the Bible. You can go to the Bible dictionary and you can read the list of other books that were rejected by Brigham Young and his Great and Abominable Church. And thus, because the Christians stole them and used them in their Septuagint, the Jews want nothing to do with it. And so the Jews do not accept the book of Maccabees that contain the origin story of Hanukkah and Nephi, which is an incorrect translation of the actual word, which is not Nephi. Did you know that? No? You just knew that it was Nephi that was in Maccabees. Good for you on that, but it's not actual Nephi. And so my favorite Bible story is Bel. That is not in our King James Version of the Bible. It's in the Apocrypha. And then there's pseudepigrapha, which is called pseudo, which means fake, false. Pigrapha, which are the other scriptures that were rejected by the Great and Abominable Church of Constantine, as they selected what closest conformed to their new creation of Christianity and the altering of the Jewish scriptures from prophecy into literal history. And so they can't have literal history replacement scriptures that make no sense. And so a whole ton of books were rejected as a result. So yeah, the Gnostics, for example, all of their scriptures were rejected and denied. And so we don't know that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was a temple prostitute as a 14-year-old girl, and that she was bought by Joseph at the temple so that she could take care of his children who have been orphaned by their mother. And so you kind of miss that background information in Matthew. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you're missing. And so yeah, they didn't like the idea of Mary being a temple prostitute, but she was a virgin. They've made that very clear. And so, yeah, other stuff that Joseph Smith has talked about, Egyptian documents. Where are they? Oh, good. We finally have the Joseph Smith papyri. Oops, no we don't. We only have what Joseph Smith wrote about the Book of Abraham. And too many people are complaining because they don't know Egyptian. And so there's still the rest of the Book of Abraham to complete. Oops, I did it. And then we have the Book of Joseph that has never been done. Oops, yeah, I did that too. It's real simple when you know the learning of the Egyptians and the language of the Egyptians. Notice I didn't say the learning of the Greeks in the language of the Egyptians, which is what all Egyptologists think they know of Egyptian. It comes from the Rosetta Stone. See, in case you didn't know, Greek is an alphabetical language. Egyptian is not. And so the Greeks were imposing Greek phonemes onto the Egyptian characters. Thus, the learning of the Greeks' language of the Egyptians. And so when the Book of Mormon says it's in the learning of the Jews' language of the Egyptians, they're talking about Paleo-Hebrew. And somebody needed to decipher that, because William Foxwell Albright's decipherment of Proto-Sinaitic, claiming to be original Paleo-Hebrew, very bad. Did not use science methodology at all. And so, did that too. That's me. But you don't care. You'd like to claim. So you sued the church because you're a translator? No. They indefinitely incarcerated me because I was a translator. I was going to expose them. Because, yeah, they were scared. And they panicked and they violated law. Because if it gets around that I am a translator, just like Joseph, they're ruined and destroyed. Because they're not. Because, again, section 107, verse 92, after Joseph says he's the Christ of Mormons, the man like Moses. And so, also, the Joseph Smith Papers. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has finished the complete Joseph Smith Papers, giving us original source documents. And there are some doozies in there. You know, it's not like anybody's actually done videos exposing the bombshells in the Joseph. Oops, yeah, that was me again. Yeah, there are some new stuff that Brigham Young refused to publish. And it implicates Brigham Young as, yeah, the Antichrist who is going to murder Joseph and steal his church. Call it Jesus. 19 July 1840. And then he's been the one that goes around on his mission sabotaging Joseph's church, calling it the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints rather than the Church of Latter-day Saints. Going around telling people, hey, the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ rather than the learning of the Jews. Yeah, section 107, they're getting their licenses to preach. That's all they have authority for. They're not prophets, seers, revelators, and translators. Only Joseph. But yet, Brigham Young exalted himself. And yeah, there's the document when Joseph Smith gets out of Liberty Jail and goes to the 12 and says, you exalted yourself while I was locked up in Liberty Jail. You got rid of a good man, Thomas B. Marsh. Joseph knew. I don't know why he didn't excommunicate him other than that prophecy needed to be fulfilled. Which is why Hiram's wife was the only Smith who went with Brigham Young. And yeah, George doesn't count. He was the uncle. He knows nothing of that. So, yeah, and then there's lots of corrections from the corrections that Brigham Young made to Joseph Smith's works, even the Book of Mormon. We need to restore them all back to the original source documents that are in the Joseph Smith Papers. And so the name of the church is the Church of Latter-day Saints under Joseph Smith. So Brigham Young is the first president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The church refuses to do this. Joseph Smith, in the Joseph Smith History of 1838, says that it's Nephi, not Moroni. This is significant because Joseph Smith is the only one who can make changes, and he did. He corrected section 27 of the Doctrine and Covenants, verse 5. It's not Moroni. But you see, Brigham Young, who had no authority, had it ordered to be changed in the Joseph Smith History, rather than changing the Doctrine and Covenants 27:5. The key of Ezekiel 37 is Nephi, not Moroni. And these authority issues are a big deal because Joseph Smith makes it known to Mormons very clearly, no one has authority but him and the future man like Moses, the Mormon Christ. So everything that Brigham Young did technically is null and void. He did not succeed as Joseph said he should be succeeded. And every change and correction that he claims is a correction, that Joseph Smith is wrong, that it's golden plates, not gold, but then Nelson changed it. Did you catch that? Nelson came out in April Conference 2020 at Saturday evening session with a little video clip with the Relief Society president at the time and said Joseph had the golden plates. Golden is different than gold. And so in this latest video for October Conference 2023, the day that shall burn as an oven conference, in which they still nothing other than the second vision was for the restoration of the gospel. They completely gutted it. The day that shall burn as an oven, gone. But Nelson went back and said gold, making the one and only correction. And so, yeah, they're not redoing the scriptures to conform and comply to the Joseph Smith papers. They refuse to make the changes. And even in the Joseph Smith papers, they keep the false information up front. You have to click on the blue highlighted thing in order to see the correction that should be made, but they refuse to make other than go down to the footnotes or see it in a pop-up. The actual text remains the same. They won't change. They refuse. They call it the authoritative source for all things Joseph Smith. He's our founder, apparently, but they won't change the errors they made. So, this is when you know that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is false, fraudulent, and paying the Judas price to cause a panic attack in the day that shall burn as an oven. See how I did that?